Back in May, I decapitated my ficus. That was part 1. That was several weeks ago. At this point, a couple months ago. I think it's time for an update. Here's where we left off. At the time, I was referring to this as a Ficus Audrey, and one of you pointed out that this might be a Ficus Altissima. Altissima?
Ficus Altissima.
Ficus Altissima, yes. I had been calling this a Ficus Audrey in my first video, so thank you for pointing this out. I did very minimal research. I just did a little tiny bit of Googling. From what I can tell, the difference between an Altissima and an Audrey is that there is sort of a leaf color difference, and that the Audrey is much more of a kind of a solid green. One of the additional indicators is the leaf shape. The Audrey has a much rounder leaf and also just a more consistent dark green to the leaf versus the Altissima, which is what I have, which has that little bit of kind of almost yellow variegation around the edges. So in this picture, for example, you can see on the left is the Audrey leaf, which is just more of a solid green with those light veins and the rounder leaf shape. And then on the right is the Altissima. You'll see that brighter variegation. It's easy to probably get these mixed up, especially depending on lighting and how those leaves are doing. But this was a really great tip, and I'm glad I had the opportunity to get to know my plant a little bit better. In part 1, I decapitated my Ficus Altissima. Essentially, I cut off the top and decided to propagate the different leaf cuttings. I put the cuttings into jars of water. I put those jars under my kitchen window in a bright location, and I made sure to change out the water about once a week to make sure it stayed fresh. After a few weeks, roots started developing. It happened pretty quickly. I was very surprised. The roots started out as little tiny white dots on the stems, and within a couple weeks they were growing really well. Around this time, my original plant was also starting to push new branches, which was super exciting. I have 3 new branches on this Ficus Altissima, and I'm super excited to see the structure that it eventually takes on. Check these out. It's so exciting. I just have to pull all 3 of these up. Look at that. Oh my gosh. This one doesn't have anything on it yet. It's probably okay. Isn't that awesome? All right, let's check the original. She has 3 branches. All right, look here. 3 branches. 1, 2, and 3. I want to say it's been maybe a month, 4 weeks. Yeah, that's great. I'm super excited about that. These are nice and strong. The leaves down here, it did lose another leaf, and these are probably gonna go. This right here, this yellow one, is from another branch. So the good news is we have several branches. The ones down here at the bottom are doing a lot better. I think just in general, there's a little bit more space for light. So yeah, part 2 update. Now I just need to take the time to repot them. Yeah, I just needed to decide what kind of pots I want to put them in, and we'll go from there. I haven't really decided what I want to put them in yet. For now, I might just leave them as they are. They seem to be doing fine with just the water. I don't really know where to put the cuttings light-wise. I don't have a ton of spaces, and right now at the moment, this wall is kind of taken. So unless I move things around and get rid of a lot of things, I don't know that that's wise to do. They seem to be okay right now in the water, but this is the update, and I don't really want to have to do a part 3, but maybe we'll do a part 3. I will try to keep tabs on the weeks that I'm doing these check-ins. That way you guys have a better timeline of how long it's taking for these things to grow and change. finally in July, it was time to pot these guys up. So as you can see, the roots are super developed. They're ready to go. The supplies I used were a few different potting mixes. In this case, I'm just using Miracle-Gro potting mixes. You can use probably any brand. I have a regular indoor mix that's supposed to help with moisture control. I also have a tropical mix, which is supposed to be good for tropical plants. They have different lava rock and other material that helps with that moisture control as well. In this phase, I decided to mix together some of these different mediums. At the bottom of these containers, I'm putting in this little bit of mesh material. I believe this is just from another bulb bag or probably even potato bag. This is just super helpful for putting over the hole in the container so that the soil doesn't fall out as easily. You could use a different type of netting material, but this is what I use. So I just cut out a little piece, put it at the bottom, and then filled the container with soil. You'll also see here that I have an azalea tone on hand. I'm using this as sort of a starter fertilizer. Normally, this type of fertilizer would be used for azaleas, acidic plants. I use this on my hydrangeas outside. Normally, I would use something like biotone fertilizer. That's generally the product that's known for being a good root start. I just don't have that here in my area. I think the ingredients are pretty similar with the azalea tone, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use that. I will add some links to the description of this video in case you want to try out any of these products. In this first container, I was able to put 5 leaves. They all seem to fit pretty well together. We'll see how they grow together. I'm hoping that by putting these leaves together, it'll help with moisture control as well. I didn't have enough small pots, nor really the space to pot up each of these leaves individually. There are 8 of them. Actually, there are 7 of them. I think one of them didn't fully root. So we'll see if this container actually does a good job of helping these grow into healthy plants. In the second container, I only was able to put 2 leaves. The third was the very tippy top of the cutting that I took. I think this part of the plant was just focused more on producing a new leaf rather than being able to produce new roots. Totally fine. I went ahead and added it to the soil just in case. We'll see what happens. I doubt it'll grow. I also took this time to pot up a few other plants that I had going. This has been on my to-do list for a while, so it was nice to finally check it off my list. Right now I have a ton of plants just lined up under my TV, all along the TV console, and that's definitely not ideal. Again, I have way too many plants in here. I need to probably get rid of some. But now that these things are potted up, I'm hoping that they kind of establish more in these larger pots and can actually grow into healthy plants, and then I can move them somewhere else in the apartment. Now that I have everything potted up, the key is really just not babying these too much. One of these containers definitely holds on to moisture more than the others, so that'll be something that I need to pay attention to, whereas terracotta pots tend to dry out a lot faster. To make sure that I'm not overwatering or underwatering any of these, I will check the soil moisture with my trusty meter. It's just helpful to have this type of tool around to make sure I'm giving each plant what it needs. I will leave a link in the description to this meter as well. I love this thing. If you want to try it out, use that link. Highly recommend. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey. I mean, it has truly been a journey. And thanks so much for your patience as I've been getting all these different parts together. I know it's been a while, life happens, and also just you gotta let the plants do what they wanna do. So I hope that you were encouraged by this video. If you've been wanting to try something new, maybe you learned something. I know I did. I now know what kind of plant I have, which is really helpful. So thank you again to that viewer. Let me know in the comments if you've ever done this before. Let me know if you have a Ficus Altissima. Let me know if you have any tips for caring for these, or if I've done everything wrong, please let me know. I'd love to care for this plant properly. I was considering moving my plant over here to my desk in this corner by the window, but I think I'm gonna have to wait a bit longer to do that because I think she's still pretty mad at me, so we're just gonna leave her where she is for now. I don't intend to do a bunch of plant series videos. It's not really where my brain goes. But plants are a part of my house, and so occasionally I might give some updates on what's going on with them. Thanks again for joining. I hope you guys are having a great day.